Welcome back to Recoup. Happy Halloween. Today is Friday, October 31st, 2025. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. This is our Friday weekly check-in where we recap the week and talk about what we're going to be doing next week. To get started, we've spent the past 2-3, maybe full month working on catalog. So what I would love, Sid, is for you to share screen and try out however you plan to demo catalog to customers and give you a chance to practice how you want to present the thing we've been working on for a month and then we've justified engineering time for about a month. You practice your pitch and tell me, are you happy with the pitch or do we need to continue spending time on catalog?
Let's do it. So, sure. Bam. Peloton needs Halloween songs for the new playlist. Search my catalog for the top 10 best fits. So this is a good example of what I was just talking about too, Sweets, is like, if I leave this chat while this is going, all of this gets lost. Its progress gets lost to the user, at least. I don't think this is a blocker from presenting, but obviously here the UI can be improved by showing the user what's going on behind the hood. But that's a make it awesome thing. Ta-da! Ooh. Nice. I love how it's reasoning and it's denying things. That's awesome. Nice. So I think this is awesome. And then it's catalogs, right?
Correct.
And then everything's, here, fire. Dude, I think it's great. I think everything, all of my notes would be just UI and like little tweaks that are not blockers from getting value from the tool immediately. So I think great job.
So feature is complete, now in your court, ready to deliver to customers with no blockers or additional work needed until you talk to customers and share it with them?
Correct.
Okay. In that case, my work for the week is complete, and now we have a big list of tasks to prioritize next week. The orienting prompt that you gave is improve evals of real customers actively using Recoup. The goal is to pick one and only one item from this list. What is the one thing such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary to improve evals of real customers actively using Recoup? JP's recommendation of twice a week email summaries and actions they need to take, tasks not performing at Ian's level of requirements, evals are not running, use workflow, a new tool from Vercel, agents from AI SDK tools to group sets of tools, and multi-agent architecture with handoffs between agents. Sora, you have to prompt it. It doesn't just give you the image or the video directly, improving that tool so that people actually want to use Sora on Recoup as opposed to going to Sora. Composio has a lot of tools that could be connected into Recoup. LLM loses response when navigating to other chats or other parts of the app. AI SDK is on V5. V6 is getting released more and more every day. We could update to AI SDK V6. Trigger.dev is what the guy who built Midday uses to have agents that run all the time, so that it can monitor emails and other inboxes and constantly have an agent working for you. Supermemory is a tool that you sent for memory management. During this call, you've mentioned UI loading components for the catalog and artifacts, which Midday uses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 items on the list. Which one single item will, such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary for improving evals of real customers actively using Recoup?
What's your response? Or what's your hypothesis?
Step one is fix evals. If they're not running, they need to be running.
You said yesterday that they are running for you, and I just didn't see them. Can you double check?
Yeah, let's check.
I also sent you a great eval video that I watched yesterday. And we're so close to doing what he suggested. I just need to improve my founder dashboard to add notes. And I think I can do that next week to improve getting a little bit more specific around the evals we can write.
So I see brain trust, eval report with no experiments to report. So something has happened in the past 48 hours. I don't
Can you
know
check?
what.
Can you check brain trust to see if it's just the GitHub connection or if it's actually brain trust? I got to keep reminding ourselves we're so early. I want to get everything on that list done one a day, sweets.
I know you do.
Come on, man. Just one a day. Just knock out one a day, man.
catalog opportunity analysis, the last run was 6 days ago. So just
Here we
about
go.
a week, which matches when I stopped seeing it 6 days ago on catalog songs count, Spotify tools, 6 days. So it's been 6 days since Brain Trust tools have run, which is potentially the same time that I cycled keys for Veerball and you sharing on our last call ENV variables. So it might be likely what happened is the ENV variable for Brain Trust that I added does not have access to this dashboard for some reason. Maybe I don't know who got the last key, if it was me or you, but maybe because it's my key, it might be missing Recoup stuff. So fixing it's likely just an ENV variable. If that's the core reason, then it'll just be a quick fix.
I think it's a
So
good
first, yeah, the first is getting them running again. Once they're running,
I have a question before you continue down your road. Scheduled tasks is also has stopped running on the 21st, about 10 days ago. Could it also have something to do with what? Could that have also anything to do with when we cycled things, or is that less likely a similar issue?
the task that I'm missing is not run for a month. So in my experience, that the tasks have been down longer, but maybe
it could be a deeper. It's yeah. Okay, I see. So don't worry about it. And that was a question. Is it a deeper times? Is it going to require more time diagnosing than just checking evals? And I think yes. So we can move on. What were you going to continue saying? Once we get evals fixed.
Next question I have is, do we orient the improve evals of real customers around specific eval in here that's already been written? Or is it around getting more data to add more evals into here? Or is the existing evals and new evals not the correct way to orient this? In which case, how do we prioritize the impact? Goal is improving evals of real customers actively using Recoup. We have actively running numbers. We need to fix it so that those numbers are continuing to run. How are we tracking success on achieving that metric, ignoring the specific whats of tasks we could be doing? How are we tracking it? Is it one of the evals that we already have written? Is it an eval that has not been written in a conversation we need to write evals around? Or am I not asking the right question to determine success for us achieving improve evals of real customers actively using Recoup?
No, you are asking the right questions, and I think you brought up a great point, which is I think I need to give you better data when writing evals, because right now we're going very specific evals, which gets us very locked into the users. After watching the video yesterday, the key piece that we're missing in our current evaluation pipeline is what he in the video. What he recommended was to go through user questions like we do, and go through exactly how we do, but maybe a bigger usage of them, 100 of them, and then write the like what's wrong with them. But instead of then writing evals for each one, you feed them into an LLM to categorize the issues, and then you rate them by the amount of issues. So for example, if user asked for TikTok information but didn't get it because it called the wrong tool or it doesn't have access, comes up 10 times out of 100, then we know that's the eval that we need to write, and we can spend more time writing the eval that correlates to the general category of TikTok, gathering TikTok information, whether it's a tool call or whatever. So I think what I'll do next week, besides talking to customers, is I will get better at delivering you the categories of what users are like, where our tools are failing, not tools, where better categorization, so that when we go in to write evals, it'll be easier to diagnose the top problems instead of diagnosing one by one. And so with that being said, I think we can table the general conversation of like improving user evals specifically until next week when we have better data. It'll be my responsibility to get you the better data so that we can have this conversation next week. And then moving forward with the conversation is what in that list what out of that list do you think will improve the user experience or the responses in general without grounding them to evals right now?
My usage of the product is likely different from the customers, and we want to focus on enterprise customers. So what is the biggest pain point in our enterprise customers' experience that is reducing the likelihood that they continue to subscribe to us, that you've observed being closer to the customers? Or we could open up the Telegram and check out that channel to see what errors are being reported there to orient that question.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. No output generated. No output generated. No output generated.
How often
You
is that?
these errors. Input is too long for requested model.
That's me doing tests, so we don't.
You've gotten the no output generated. Do you remember what specifically happened when you got this?
No.
Okay. Input too long. No output generated. Input too long. No output generated. No output generated customer. No output generated customer.
All right, I think we found our winner.
Invalid parameter message with role tool must be a response with a preceding message with tool calls. This is all yesterday.
Is it a cleanup week next week, Sweets? Is it a errors and fixes?
Gateway request failed. Item with ID not found. Items are not persisted when store is set to false. Try again with store set to true. enterprise customer, no output generated. Tool must be messages with role tool must be a response to a preceding message with tool calls, and no output generated. We've now gone 1 day in customer errors, no output generated.
I think we found the thing.
So going into reducing errors for next week and just straight up errors instead of evals, focus on the errors, not the evals, and reduce the number of errors. Same thing that I did before when we switched from Claude to the AI gateway. The goal was to make it so we weren't getting errors, and so either just writing down the errors that are occurring here. AI no output generated error seems like the bigger one, and then taking these and documenting them and iterating over this to reduce the number of errors that are being seen in end customer interactions.
Agreed.
Fix out Telegram errors.
In the video I sent you, he shows the traces of every user chat in Brain Trust. So it's like all of this, but in Brain Trust for every user. And I also think that Vercel has that as well already baked in, right? An observability. But never mind. Let's just focus on errors. I guess my question is, if we are going to update our architecture to multi-agent, let's say we're going to use either the Vercel AI SDK agents on V6, or we're going to use the AI SDK tools, multi-agent stuff. Is that going to introduce the potential of then having to redo this process because we're going to have it's going to introduce new errors? Like, should we do that before we fix errors in the old architecture? Is it like a, chicken before the egg scenario? Or wait, egg before the chicken? Whatever.
How pressing are the error messages you're getting from customers? Do you want to prioritize that in order to save the ability for us to continue to generate revenue from the enterprise customer, or is it not a squeaky enough wheel to impact and you'd prefer to focus on making architecture changes and let the baby cry a little bit more until we take care of it? How squeaky is the wheel?
I think the wheel can wait. I might change that response after we talk to the customer today and get their opinion. But right now, something is telling me in my gut that, like, if the blocker is our architecture, and if we change, like going in on that will like fix a lot of these issues.
So you would like us to focus on AI SDK tools agents or AI SDK v6 as the top priority for next week?
Yes.
What do you hope will improve as a result of focusing on that? How are you going to measure whether or not is it just we track it? Does the package.json say AI SDK v6 and does our code base say agents, or is there some external thing that you're tracking to determine whether these changes get you to the goals that you have in your mind when you say that those things are important?
I want it to call the right tools. My biggest issue currently, the thing that's hurting me the most, is when it calls the wrong tools. It makes the wrong decisions to like on user queries. And my solution to that is moving to the multi-agent architecture, so that we can that will also help us organize the tools better, describe them, make it easier to select the categories in the tool, and also take a lot of the burden off of the main interaction agent and let people run it in parallel. So I think it's gonna that's the biggest blocker for me over the last week as I was preparing for my demo and going through customer queries is I try to do a simple prompt. For example, go scrape or go get all my socials and then create a release report or a social report weekly. And then it goes to do it, but it runs into errors because it starts to call the wrong tools for different things. And so then I iterate on my prompt, and then I start to tag the specific tools required, and I test the tools to see. And so I spend more time testing tools and then iterating on prompts. But I know customers aren't doing that. They're not taking the 2 hours to get the results. So in turn, it's like I'm working to improve the system for myself, and as opposed to improving the system for the customer who's not aware of the tools that they should type or the prompts, And so in my gut, it's telling me that if we make our system more intelligent at the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of agent architecture, where it's easier for it to know what tools to call and why, it's easier for it to understand how to save, where to save files for later, so I can continue to iterate on that data. It will help our customers get results better or better results faster without having to educate them or work on prompts with them or manually go in and call tools myself.
So to improve the evals of real customers actively using Recoup, we need to make sure that the right tools are getting called. And that is a sub-focus. How should we be grouping agents for Recoup? Based off of workflow? A workflow like generate a weekly social report or set up a new artist? Or is it based on tool group like Instagram or social or email sending or file management? Or is it based on specific prompts? In your mind, what is the ideal architecture for routing requests from customers into Recoup? How do we want to group agents?
It's a great question.
Do you have initial agents in mind, or stepping back to that the same question? How do we want to group agents for Recoup?
So there are two starting places that I'm gravitating towards to use as reference. The first one is the midday agents and how they're organizing their tools, because it works. Let me see if I have that picture so I can show you. So it's the midday agents and how they're routing their tools. how they're structuring their multi-agent, and then the tools that the multi-agent can handle. And the other structure is Pokey and the Pokey system prompt. And I think like mixing those two together to form our own, and then infusing them with like record label stuff instead of like financial stuff. Let me show you. Okay, so the first thing is, where did I send it? Let's see. Did I send it to you and Veerball, or just... Here we go. So here's like one good example. And I think I sent it to you here. Oh, no, I did not. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, cool. You can actually go into the Midday GitHub, so you don't have to see the picture, and you can see what their agents are. And you can see like they have an invoices agent, they have an operations, they have reports, research, shared. So like you can see exactly what they're doing. Or wait, that's the index, but like customers, you're a customer management specialist. So that's like, you can have like a fan specialist. We can have like a...
So far, organizational roles.
Organizational roles is one thing. And then the other question is like, let's go to tools, because they also have tools. And they name their tools in directories of the same name, but then they have like specific tools, like a cash flow tool, a burn rate tool, a profit loss tool. So that's one version of architecture that we can borrow from. The other version of an architecture that we can borrow from is from the article I sent you, where they categorize their tools by type. So email tools, in Instagram, Gmail, like things like that. So like there's like another way that we can do it.
Tool groups.
Tool groups, exactly.
And that's from whose model?
That was from the eval. That was from the article I sent you on. Let me find it. I think I sent it to you and oh my God, where is it? Oh, here it is. The Felipe Architecture of Attention. This one, where it, and you had read, you read it and like went through. There's like a whole thread about you going through this and then like tagging like how the AI SDK corresponds to this. But yeah, this was literally where does it show? Yeah. Okay. So like. So they like organize tool categories and then do like Gmail category and then Gmail tool, or Gmail send email, Gmail create draft, Gmail save, or Notion, whatever. So there's that, but like it's going to be it's going to be trial and error to see like if one performs better than the other when you're organizing, or when you're creating the infrastructure, or if a combination of both works as well, you know? And then the third one that I wanted to show you is, let me find it. Is the Pokey system prompt, which is fucking great, because this shows you Pokey is the best agent personality that I've interacted with. It feels like a friend, and I have no problem texting it because it replies so. It's a pleasant to interact with. And I think one of the reasons why is because their main prompt is you are like, oh, here's the Pokey, where is it? The first one right here. So like Pokey P1 is their main system prompt, right? There are lots of message types that you can interact with, whether it's text or whatever. It says like it has like tags for different text types. But what's really cool about this one is that it says like your only responsibility is to like here, like aim to be witty, humorous. You should also sound like a friend, like, and always just pass everything that, like, any data or any like non-user interaction things, pass it to the orchestrator agent. And then the orchestrator agent is a separate prompt here, and you're the assistant of Pokey, and you help complete tasks. Your final output is directed to Pokey, which handles user conversations and presents your results to the user. So like system prompt for Pokey is like just user facing, feel good. And then orchestrator is you operate with multi-agent system, you hand things off, and this agent can call the triggers and spawn other agents. And the prompt, like, you can literally read through the whole prompt. It's really great because it has both things. But I think if we think about those three architectures, the AI SDK tools multi-agent system that is in Midday, the tool categories, and Pokey's like handoffs and multi-agent thing, and combine them and make a version of our own. To me, that's the most exciting thing that we can do for the product. It will put us on the cutting edge of agent infrastructure, and hopefully it will allow the agent to be smarter when calling tools and like delivering results. A happy byproduct would be if we can run agents in parallel, or like the multi-agents in parallel, so that we can get results quicker to the user. And things would be happening in the background. So if they, leave the chat and come back, it wouldn't lose everything. But those are byproducts of like setting up the new architecture. So here, let me copy this and send this to you. Thoughts?
I'm hearing high-level org roles with low-level tool group agents. So starting with the first level of interaction is the first agent that all chat requests go through as a chat agent. Its only responsibility is to receive inputs and do a final pass on responses that go out to the customer. It's the chat level response agent. That's what you're getting from Poke. It interacts with a router agent. The router agent contains, its goal is to route to the appropriate roles. So the chat communicates to the router. The router then routes to organizational level roles. Organizational level roles then have tool groups. So 4 levels of agents in total. The conversations, inputs and outputs go through the chat. Chat routes through, sends it all to the router. The router's only goal is to pick an org level agent that is going to be best to handle the request. The org level agent then iterates over its own tools. And if there's groups of tools like Instagram, Spotify, Gmail, it has access to those tool group agents. agents then feed the responses back to the org agents. Org level agents then feed back to the chat agent. The chat agent responds to human text and whatever our personality is of how we're designing Recoup to interact with humans.
Correct.
What am I missing? That architecture matches your expectation?
The architecture, yes, but I would implore you to dive into this and explore it yourself, like these references, because you may find things that are better than what I just showed you. You know, like you may find more nuance. I know you're going to find more nuance in what they're doing. So at a like general, like going into next week, yes, I think that working on this, you know, kind of architecture will be the highest value. And I think you spending some time diving into these three and really understanding what you can pull from them to give our agent, to give our users the best chance of success with our agents. So when they ask their prompt, when they ask questions like, I mean, like you can go back into the evals and see what they're asking. Like, you know, what's my highest performing song on TikTok last week? You know, like, is it calling the right tool, the right agent with the right tools to deliver that response? You know,
what are the organizational roles Recoup is orienting around? For a query like that, what would be the role within a record label that would be responsible for that?
it's a great question. And this is like the Libra in me battling between like, how do we name it and organize it? Because I like middays in the sense that like, what I notice is both midday and pokey, they don't specifically base it around role. I mean, it's like kind of roles, but it's more like general purpose. But I mean,
accounting, it's invoices. Those are very specific roles.
But those are tools within the like the agent. So like, let me pull up the midday. Oh, where was it? Apps. SRC AI. Here we go. So their agents is like reporting, research. I guess they have invoices, which are specific for that, but it's not like it's like it's invoices. It's not accountant. You know, it's not like a label role. It's more like one of their tasks at the label. So like instead of social media manager, you know, like do we make it more holistic to just like social or like report? Like, I don't know. Like this is the question that's going to be like, what is the best way to design this? One, for the AI, but also for like two, for the human to be able to like read it and like know like, oh, I'll put this agent needs these tools that we just built, or this, you know, like. So I don't know the answer, man. That's the one thing that I don't know. What are you leaning towards?
Social feels too broad and all-encompassing because it sounds like the majority of requests are related to social, so everything's just going to get routed into that.
This is what I'm saying. Like this becomes like this is the question. And it maybe it's iterating on like, try it one way and then see what happens if you try it like another way, and just you kind of experimenting to see what you get better results for. Because like if you see like the research agent that they have is pretty specific, like with like the work, like it's a workflow for research, versus like reports, it goes into like what specific report tools that they have, you know. And like we do a bunch of reports, but we do our reports as prompts rather than tools. Although you have a release report tool tool call, but like, you know what I'm saying, like, so like thinking through like it should
we could emulate their, I mean, we could use a customer's agent that's used for creating new artists, or maybe instead of customers calling it artists, we could have a socials tool, and that one's going to be really big at first, and we could have a research agent, and those could be our three artists, socials, and research.
So this is customer management, but it's the way they do it is you're a customer management specialist for their users company, and your goal is to help with the user's customer data and profitability analysis. So it's
so it'd be the same thing for us. It would be you're an artist management specialist for Fat Beats. Your goal is to help with artist data, profitability analysis, and customer relationship management, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and then okay, and then in that sense, what would
it's for creating new artists, deleting artists, adding socials to artists. It's any query related to the artists on the right sidebar, adding them, removing them, and editing them.
I like that, sweet. Okay, so and this is what you were saying about emulating the roles of the label. So like who that would be like a almost like a project man, not project, but like a product manager at the label. I like where your head's at, and I think you're on the right track. And I don't want to limit you by saying like this is how we have to do it, or I think this. Like I think just you kind of experimenting it out makes the most sense, and playing around with it, because I see what you're saying, like being more specific and categorizing it with like your role is to help make sure, yeah, artists are organized, named correctly, socials are correct, knowledge bases are filled in, et cetera, whatever. Like file management is a huge one. Like an agent that's just solely responsible for organizing and naming and making sure that like when you go into the file system, like it knows which files to use for which queries. I like where your head's at.
Okay. I'll start with those three: artists, socials, and research, unless you think files should replace research. I think artists and socials are clear. Those are every new person creates a new artist.
I wonder if instead of artists, should it be operations? How do they have their operations? Let me see. Export data, get balances, list documents, list inbox items. So like maybe the operations specialist, account balances, documents, transactions, invoices. I'm just trying to think if there's like a operations or manager or management, like almost like an admin, like an administrator whose role is to like make sure everything's organized, whether it be in files or whether it be in the artists. Or I don't know. Again, this is where I keep getting stuck and why I haven't dove in and started to organize our tools, because it becomes like this, like, should I do it this way or this way? And then I literally get stuck. So I will say, Sweets, go experiment, start with however you want, and go down rabbit holes and have fun. I think I'm going to take my hands off the steering wheel on this one. I will point you in the right direction and trust your gut on how to organize this thing. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I want you to feel like you know exactly what agents do what and why, so that when we start to do evals, you'll have such a precise understanding of like, oh, it called that tool, but it was supposed to call this tool, or oh, it was supposed to do that. Like, so I think you got it. I want to give you the space to figure it out.
Copy. So my goal is to make sure the right tools are getting called this week. Gonna fix evals so that Brain Trust is running, and get 3 organizational agents in, so that way we're testing out a new agents architecture. On your side, you mentioned you're going to be doing customer calls and you're going to be creating more evals, or giving me more raw material for me to write evals.
Correct. I'm going to organize I'm going to fill up more buckets, or the spreadsheet more. And then I'll take one extra step that we haven't done yet, which is categorize, bucket each row to identify trends, so that we can prioritize better when we're writing our evals, whether it be TikTok stuff or other stuff.
Awesome. Anything else for today?
No, I think that's it, man. Nice stuff.
Happy Halloween, everyone. We will be back on Monday for